Hi, I'm Hub Arkush for Pro Football Weekly, and I'm joined by Associate Editor Kevin Fishbane on my right, Associate Editor Arthur Arkush on my left. It's time now for One-on-One. Every week here at Pro Football Weekly, we pick a hot question of the moment, and we get two of our writers to debate that point. Certainly the man of the hour in the NFL today has to be Super Bowl MVP Joe Flacco, who arrived after many were ready to write him off. And the question today, who will be that player next year? Who's going to have the breakthrough season? And Kevin, I'll turn to you first.
Yeah, well, I looked at some players, Hub, that are similar to Flacco, that have had a few years of experience, just haven't made that leap. And I like Jay Cutler from Chicago. And I look at Flacco and look at what was around him this year. They get Torrey Smith a couple years ago, Anquan Bolden, Bernard Pierce this year, a better O-line, a more explosive offense. Jay Cutler next year, maybe they get a tight end in the first round, maybe they improve that offensive line. A new coach in Mark Trestman, who obviously wants to open up the offense a little bit. I see the similarities with Flacco, and we know Cutler has the ability to make that jump.
All right, Arthur, Kevin's got Jay Cutler. I know you've got somebody else.
Naturally, I'm going to go with the same guy from Flacco's draft, Matt Ryan, the guy who I believe a lot of people expected to get to this moment even sooner than Joe Flacco. I look at what Ryan accomplished this season, had the terrific regular season, and got the monkey off his back in the playoffs. That was the big question. Can he get over the hump, him and Mike Smith? He did that. He came back against Seattle. It was a couple interceptions that put him in that position, but I just love the grit. I love the moxie at the end of the game to come up with the comeback. And then, of course, the next week, once again, the interception and the fumble doomed him. I thought other than that, he played pretty much a perfect game. I thought the interception was more a result of Roddy White falling down. I just love the pieces around him. I love the steps he made this season, and I could see him making that next step next year.
All right, Kevin, I come back to you on the Jay Cutler point. I guess the big question is, can they get enough better around him to put him in that position? This offense in Chicago, I've got Mark Trestman, appears to have a long way to go to match that Baltimore offensive line and the threats at wide receiver.
Right, that's the big question. They're obviously going to have to answer this offseason. And I look at the wide receiver position as well. The Devin Hester question has been kind of answered already. We know that's not an option for them. Can they find another receiver to step up? We know the Brandon Marshall thing worked out. Can Matt Forte stay healthy? Can they get another offensive lineman to fit in there? Look at Baltimore's offensive line. Ja Reed gets hurt. Brian McKinney comes in at left tackle, and they played great in the playoffs. The Bears just need to fix that offensive line, get enough around him, get that pass-catching tight end, whether it's a Tyler Eifert or Zach Ertz. And I think Cutler just needs a little more around him, an offense he's more comfortable with, of course, to move the ball better and have a good season.
All right, and Arthur, as far as Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons, I guess the question is, what's going to be different? They already had one of the most explosive offenses in the league. Ryan had his best year as an NFL quarterback. I guess the one thing you could point at is maybe the running game's got to get better?
Running game has to improve. I'm not sure they have to do a whole lot differently. Like I said, I thought they had the 49ers on the ropes. It was a couple mistakes that Ryan did make. Like I said, I don't think they were entirely his fault. What I love about Ryan, and a big difference between Cutler, is he's coming back to the same system. You saw the comfort level. I think a lot of what made Joe Flacco so successful was the switch to Jim Caldwell. A lot of comfort there calling plays and being within the offense. Matt Ryan's got that with Dirk Cutter. They're going to have another full offseason to improve upon it. Hopefully they find a way to bring back Tony Gonzalez. Of course, you still have Roddy White. Julio Jones really just becoming a complete man-child. Jacquizz Rodgers showed some nice things. I'd expect him to be more involved in the running game, and I just think he's far enough along. He answered a lot of questions this season, and he should be primed to take that next step, as I mentioned.
Now, Kevin, with Jay Cutler, the big question, you've got Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco probably have some things in common personality-wise. Cutler is a different cat.
Yeah, Cutler is, and that's one of the things that a lot of people have knocked at him, of course. He's just an interesting guy. His personality rubs some people the wrong way, and the hope is the key. We know Phil Emery got a head coach that works with Emery in Mark Trestman. Now the question is Mark Trestman and Jay Cutler, will they get along? And obviously we all heard about the experience that they had before, and maybe that will work out. Maybe Aaron Kromer is the type of guy that works well with Jay Cutler. But I put faith in Phil Emery that he knew how important it was to bring in a head coach who's going to bring in a staff who works well with Cutler. And I see that this being the type of staff that can get Cutler to up his game. That's one of my concerns about Matt Ryan. And one of the reasons I didn't pick him is I wonder if Matt Ryan's already hit his ceiling. I don't know how much better he can be next year than he was this year with Cutler. I think there's a lot more to Jay Cutler that we haven't seen yet.
Well, and the one other remaining question about Matt Ryan, Arthur, has he hit his ceiling? Beyond that, it looks like his security blanket, future Hall of Fame tight end Tony Gonzalez, will not be back. He may not have as many weapons this year as he's had in the past.
It's a great point, and of course we know Thomas Dimitroff has already started to make his pitch to bring back Tony Gonzalez. I still find it hard to believe that a guy who's bringing in 90-plus catches isn't going to find a way to come back, especially when they were so close to the Super Bowl. But I just think there's so many other things going in their favor. You don't have to worry, as you mentioned, about some of the mental makeup issues with Ryan. We know he's a leader. We know he's bringing his team back on multiple occasions, and just a lot of things working in his favor. I don't quite think he's hit the ceiling yet because we saw so much progress made this year, and I find there to still be a lot of room to improve.
All right, guys, it sounds like it could be the Bears and the Falcons competing for those Notre Dame and Stanford tight ends. We shall see. That's going to do it for this week's edition of One-on-One. For all the best in news, notes, analysis, some of the scoops and rumors before they even happen, stay right where you are at ProFootballWeekly.com, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.